Good morning. This is Dee from Efficient Gardens. Okay, what we're going to talk about today is planning before you buy your fruit trees. So, what I mean by planning is make sure that you have enough soil. Make sure you have enough pots. And I told you I do get my pots at the flea market. So you can go look at my other videos to find out where I get my pots. Being the reason why I get them from the flea market is they're just 100 times cheaper. So if you have a small backyard and you're going to average your pots between 7 gallons, 10 gallons, 15, 27 gallons, make sure you have yourself some extra pots. Make sure you have enough soil. The reason why you want to make sure you already have that before you start getting fruit trees is because you want gardening, remember, to be your peace. So if you go get fruit trees, say you go to the nursery or you go to the flea market and you go get your fruit trees and you realize, wow, they're having a good sale, or I see more fruit trees that I want. And then you go pick them up and you bring them home. And then you realize, I don't have no soil for my container gardening. I don't have any pots. So those fruit trees sit in the pot that you already brought it in. And we all know a lot of times when you go get these fruit trees, a lot of them are already root bound. A lot of them are in very small pots, and you have to up pot them. Okay? So now you got to go run around, you got to look for pots. And then you got to go run around and look for soil and fertilizer. If you already have these things, all you got to do is come and put them in a pot and place them wherever you want to place them in your yard. So be mindful of getting a lot of fruit trees as beginning gardeners before you get the equipment that you need for your trees. Also, make sure you have a lot of room. One thing that us beginning gardeners do is we get very, very excited about fruit trees. And that's basically what all fruit tree gardeners, we get excited. We see a fruit tree, we want it. We got to make sure that we have the room in our garden to place these fruit trees. That usually does not stop us from buying fruit trees because we have no room. But just so we can slow it down a little bit, make sure you have the room in your garden to place these fruit trees, because fruit tree gardening can be very addictive. I mean, we see fruit trees, mango trees and everything, and we want every flavor. And, there's nothing wrong with that, because that's the reason why you can grow a lot of things in pots. But what you want to make sure, if you get a bunch of different sized pots, this is a 27-gallon one. This is a 15-gallon one. Okay? And you'll notice, like I said, you'll see that I've gotten a lot of fruit tree containers from flea markets. That's my go-to because I don't have to pay a lot of money. This right here is a 45-gallon one. So when you go there, when you're getting ready to go get your fruit trees, when you get ready to go get your containers from these flea markets or what have you, make sure you have a big garbage bag or somewhere to sit these. If you don't have a truck, which we didn't have a truck, we actually have a Nissan Altima. And believe it or not, we put this whole garden together with that Nissan Altima because the trunk is so big. But we also, at times, had to put things in our back seat, like these 45-gallon containers. So you want to make sure you have some plastic back there. So when you grab these containers, understand a lot of times they have mud and dirt in them. So you will have to flip them over, make sure there's no bugs in there. And then you want to place them on your back seat or wherever you can in your vehicle. So when you go shopping for any of these items, and I really suggest that you go to flea markets and get your containers, make sure you have a certain amount so that you're ready. So when it's time for you to get ready to up pot and plant your fruit trees, you already have them ready. Because what happens when you don't prepare, you will sit around with a fruit tree in a 3-gallon container forever. And you're wondering why you're not getting fruits, or maybe it's dying because it was time to up pot it, but you just didn't have the time to go around looking for these pots. So remember, I'm all about easy gardening, right? So if we prepare before we start buying the fruit trees, I guarantee you will be a lot happier to already have your soil, already have your pots, place it in, and watch it grow. So I'm bringing this little info to you to make your life easier when growing fruit trees. Already have your stuff and be prepared before you start buying, because I don't want to add any stress to your life by saying go ahead and do fruit tree gardening and not tell you the main basic parts that you will need. And this is what we learn. We learn to have soil and just not run out of soil when they have sales. So go ahead and have soil, have it ready, and then when you see a fruit tree, if I see a fruit tree, my soil is ready right here. I have plots that's ready. Big pots, small pots. I buy pots that I know eventually I may need, because eventually I'm going to up pot something if I'm going to keep the tree in a pot, right? We can't grow a tree this size in a 3-gallon pot, right? So you're going to have to up pot it or place it in the ground. But if you're doing container gardening, be mindful. Even people that are placing their trees in the ground, a lot of them still have a lot of pots or trees in the container because they wanted the tree. And there's nothing wrong with that. They realized they didn't have much room, so they keep it in pots. But eventually you still have to, upgrade those pots. You're going to have to get bigger pots. So go ahead and start collecting those items. Look around and see. You also want to be mindful of this right here. Let me show you how sometimes you can make your own containers for cheap. May not look the best, but hey, it is what it is. You can go to Lowe's or whatever, or Walmart, and get a garbage can like that size right there, and poke some holes in it, and there you go, a container. Okay, so it doesn't have to look fancy. You're just trying to grow the fruit, right? So think about that before you start growing fruits. Go ahead and make sure you already have the stuff that you need, so you won't have to run around looking for it once you get your fruit trees. And that will make fruit tree gardening a lot easier and simpler. Have a nice day. Goodbye.